Most people do not ruin their lives in one moment. There is no single catastrophe, no dramatic collapse, no obvious point of failure they can look back at and say that is where it ended. No. Most people destroy themselves slowly, quietly, pleasantly even. They destroy themselves through distraction. And that is the truth that almost no one is willing to hear, because it is far easier to blame circumstance, to blame timing, to blame other people, to say the opportunity never came, the support was never there, the world was never fair. Those are comfortable stories. They protect the ego. They explain the gap between what someone dreamed of becoming and what they actually became. But if you are honest, truly honest, you will find something far more unsettling beneath all of those excuses. You will find distraction. Constant, voluntary, self-chosen distraction. This is not an attack. This is a mirror. Consider what you have given your attention to today. Not what you intended to give it to. Not what you told yourself you would do. What you actually gave it to. The scroll, the video, the notification, the conversation that led nowhere, the content consumed for hours that left nothing behind. No skill, no clarity, no progress. Only the faint, hollow feeling that time passed, and you were there for it, but you were not really present for any of it. That feeling has a name. It is called a wasted day. And wasted days become wasted weeks. And wasted weeks, without warning, become wasted years. This is how potential dies. Not loudly, silently. We are living in the most distracted era in human history. That is not an opinion. That is a measurable, documented, psychological reality. The average person touches their phone over 2,000 times per day. 2,000 interruptions. 2,000 tiny exits from the present moment. 2,000 redirects away from the life they say they want to build. The attention economy was not built to serve you. It was engineered to extract from you. Every platform, every app, every algorithm was designed by some of the most intelligent people on Earth for one singular purpose: to keep your eyes moving and your mind never settling. They studied human psychology. They studied reward loops. They studied the neuroscience of anticipation and craving, and then they weaponized it. Quietly, legally, profitably. They built a machine that runs on your dopamine, and they made you addicted to feeding it. Dopamine. Understand this word, because it explains almost everything about why people fail to build the lives they want. Dopamine is not simply the pleasure chemical. That is an oversimplification. Dopamine is the anticipation chemical. It fires before the reward arrives. It drives you toward the next thing, the next click, the next notification, the next sensation. And in a healthy, low-stimulation environment, that drive is powerful. It pushes people toward meaningful goals, toward building, toward creating, toward enduring difficulty for the sake of something greater. But in this environment, in this world of infinite, instant, effortless stimulation, dopamine has been corrupted. Your brain, which was designed to reward effort and patience, has been recalibrated to expect constant, rapid, low-cost reward. And when that recalibration happens, something essential begins to break. The ability to focus deeply, sustainably, without reaching for stimulation. That ability is not a small thing. That ability is everything. Because every meaningful achievement in a human life is built on focused effort sustained over time. Every skill that commands respect. Every business that creates value. Every relationship that runs deep. Every body that is disciplined and strong. Every mind that is sharp and clear. All of it is built through focused, consistent, patient effort. And when the ability to focus is destroyed, the ability to build is destroyed with it. This is the silent violence of distraction. It does not take your ambition in one moment. It does not confront you. It does not announce itself. It simply replaces your attention, one small moment at a time. Until the person who once had fire who once had a vision, who once felt the weight of their own potential pressing against the inside of their chest, becomes someone who just passes time. Pleasantly, comfortably, emptily. Distraction is silent self-destruction. Say that again inside your mind. Sit with it, because it is not a metaphor. It is a precise clinical description of what happens to a human being whose attention is perpetually fractured. The self is not destroyed by pain. It is not destroyed by failure. Those things, if anything, build character. The self is destroyed by the slow surrender of attention to things that do not matter, by choosing comfort over clarity, by choosing stimulation over silence, by choosing the easy dopamine hit over the hard, slow, quiet work of becoming someone. Think about the person you were going to be, not the person you settled into being. The person you saw when you were younger and the future felt like something you were moving toward, not something that was simply happening to you. What happened to that version of yourself? Where did that sense of direction go? Not in a single moment, gradually, through 1,000 small surrenders of attention, through 1,000 mornings that began with a phone instead of a purpose, through 1,000 evenings that ended with content instead of reflection, through 1,000 moments where focus was available and distraction was chosen instead. This is the architecture of regret. And it is built one distracted day at a time. Now consider the alternative. Not a fantasy. Not some idealized version of a perfect, flawless human being. Simply a different relationship with attention. There are people who are building right now. While you read this, while most people consume content, scroll feeds and drift through their hours in a pleasant haze, there are people who are working in silence. They are not extraordinary in any biological sense. They do not have superior intelligence. They were not born into easier circumstances. What they have is different. What they have is the disciplined protection of their attention. They have decided, clearly and deliberately, that their focus is not for sale, that their hours are not for entertainment, that their mind is not a dumping ground for whatever the algorithm decides to serve next. They sit with discomfort. They endure boredom without reaching for relief. They work when motivation is absent because they understand that discipline is not a feeling. It is a choice made in the absence of feeling. They delay gratification not because it is easy, but because they understand what is being built on the other side of that delay. And day by day, quietly, without audience or applause, they compound, they grow, they become. The gap between those two people is not talent. It is not luck. It is not timing. It is attention management. It is the decision about what deserves the focus of a human life and what does not. Attention is power. That is not a motivational phrase. It is a psychological fact. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. Where your energy goes, your behavior follows. Where your behavior goes, your results follow. And where your results go, your life follows. The entire trajectory of a human existence can be traced back to the habitual direction of attention. What you consistently focus on is what you consistently move toward. And what you consistently move toward is what you eventually become. And yet most people treat their attention as if it is unlimited, as if it costs nothing to give it away, as if there are no consequences to spending the most alert, energized hours of the day on things that produce nothing of value, as if the mind can be marinated in constant stimulation and still be capable of the clarity and depth required to build something meaningful. It cannot. This is the psychological consequence of distraction that almost no one talks about. It does not simply steal time. It degrades the mind's capacity. It raises the threshold for stimulation so high that ordinary life, ordinary effort, ordinary work feels dull, slow, and unbearable by comparison. And when ordinary effort feels unbearable, ordinary effort stops. And with it, all the results that ordinary sustained effort would have produced. That gap is not sealed in one dramatic moment. It has sealed gradually, quietly, through the accumulation of distracted days. Every notification you chose over focus. Every hour of content consumed instead of skill built. Every morning started with stimulation instead of intention. Every evening ended in passive entertainment instead of reflection or rest. Every small moment of available attention surrendered to something that produced nothing lasting. All of those moments stacked on top of each other become the architecture of a life that fell short, not because the potential was absent, but because the attention was never truly given. And here's the part that demands your full honesty. Because this is where the mirror becomes uncomfortable. No one forced any of it. No algorithm held a weapon. No platform physically prevented you from putting the phone down and beginning the work. Every surrender of attention was a choice. Small, yes. Easy to rationalize, yes. But a choice. And the accumulation of those choices is yours. That is not condemnation. That is the most empowering truth available to you right now. Because if distraction was a choice, then focus is also a choice. If surrender was chosen, then discipline can also be chosen. If the attention was given away, it can also be reclaimed. Starting with this moment. Starting with what comes after this. Starting with the decision you make when this ends and the next available distraction presents itself. That decision, that specific moment of choice between focus and distraction, between intention and impulse, between building and consuming, that moment is where your life is actually being decided. Not in some grand future event, not in some major turning point, in that small, quiet, ordinary moment of choice. What you choose there determines everything. Because distraction does not take everything from you at once. It takes a little every day, a fraction of your momentum, a fraction of your clarity, a fraction of your discipline, a fraction of your belief that you are someone who follows through. And those fractions accumulate until one day the person looks up from the screen and realizes that the life they intended to build is still just an intention, still unlived, still unrealized, still waiting for the focus that never came. Do not be that person, not out of fear, not out of guilt, but out of the clear, cold recognition that your potential is real, your time is finite, and your attention is the most powerful resource you will ever have access to. Use it with the seriousness it deserves. Protect it with the discipline it requires. Direct it toward what matters with the consistency that real growth demands. Silence the noise, not occasionally, habitually. Build the capacity to sit with discomfort without reaching for stimulation. Rebuild your relationship with boredom until it stops feeling like something to escape and starts feeling like space in which something important can grow. Reclaim your dopamine system from the feed and redirect it toward the slow, meaningful rewards of actual progress. Choose depth over distraction, silence over noise, discipline over comfort, consistency over convenience. Every single day, not perfectly, but persistently. And one day, in the quiet accumulation of all those small disciplined choices, you will look up and find that you have become someone. Not the person who is always going to do something. The person who did. The difference between those two people is not fate. It is not talent. It is not circumstance. It is attention. Guard yours like your future depends on it. Because it does. Comment below, I control my focus.